Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special Q&A Preppers Live. It's not even a fireside. I wanted to say fireside there automatically, but it's not. Well, it is, but it's not. But hello, welcome, everybody. I've got 20-odd questions that have been pre-asked that we'll be going through this evening. If you have any questions while we're live in the chat, you can join in. Please put it in block capitals so I don't miss it, because I'm flicking between two screens for the old questions. Or if you use the supers, it'll interrupt and it'll start that for me. So tonight, let's go around the table and we'll start putting the A in artillery. It's Andy. Where have you been? You're here. He's alive.
No, mate, I was saying before the live started, it's probably only the OGs of your channel who'll remember me.
Put a thumbs up in the chat if you remember, Andy.
Way back in the day when it was just me, you and Brian. But yeah, I'm good, mate. I've been smashing at work, pretty much smashing overtime, so I can get things set up, so I can jump back on these again, and finally get stuff out on my own channel that I've been promising people for. Well, ever since I jumped on Mike's channel.
Yes.
So I promise there'll be a video or two out on Sunday. That's my
the
promise.
First fireside, and I was telling people to subscribe because there'll be videos there next week.
Yeah, but there will be this weekend, I promise.
There will be. And we have Barry, the Browncoat Prepper. How are you doing, Barry? How's your channel progress going?
All good, and not as fast as I would like it to be. So, yeah.
It's always the way.
Yeah, work in progress.
We'll look forward to the content on there. And we always look forward to your content, Brian. Can't wait to see the special where you show us how to build a 10-foot indoor swimming pool. How's that project going?
Off to fuck. In any order you like. All right, mate. I need to wait till next week to get paid before I do any more work in it, to be honest. I'm sort of skint.
It's become a bigger bill than you expected then.
Everything's just so expensive just now. So, and I don't want to do it half-arsed. So I've got the water feature down to a drip till the good weather comes in, and I'll fix it properly.
Excellent. If you have no idea what we're talking about, that's because you're not on Discord yet. So make sure you go and join our Discord, discord.uk. Blah, blah, blah. It's all in the links below. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I have to click any super chats, and I do this with reluctance. Pepsi, proud sponsor of UK Urban Prepper. I am not sponsored by anyone, and I am especially not sponsored by Pepsi. Tonight, I'm actually not even doing that. I'm sponsored by Madry. There we go.
Why don't you show them the sample? For anybody that doesn't know, Mike's kidneys are in a shocking state. So if you want to donate a $5 to the Help Mike's Dialysis Fund, that'd be greatly appreciated. As you can see, his sample's not
hit
good
the water
at all.
a bit more.
Yeah, he's a bit dehydrated. It's that Coke he drinks.
The dark doesn't worry me. It's the bubbles. Right, maybe we should get on to some prepping. Lee's in the house from the Bug Out Prepping and Survival. Anyone that is new, because they've joined us because it's a Q&A to find out about prepping, that's your resource right there for any of the goods we talk about this evening. There we go.
Absolutely.
Right, okay. Capitals, don't forget, guys. I will miss chat tonight. I apologize because I've got to flick between screens. It doesn't let me have both. We'll start with a question off the list, gents, when I find it, because, you know. So, right to the top. Do you have a prepping plan? And if so, how far away are you from achieving your goals? So, this is like, is there an ultimate plan, or are you just winging it as you go? We'll come to you because you're newly back first, Andy. Have you got a prepping plan? And how far are you away from achieving your goals?
I would have said originally, mate, I did have a prepping plan. But as I watch your videos and I speak to you and Brian a lot, it's kind of a bit of like your plan never survives first contact with the enemy. It's always changing. So what I originally started prepping for, I think I said when we did our interview, Mike, was originally floods. That's what it started as.
Yeah.
gradually evolved over the course of I've been doing it for what now, 15 years maybe. So it's changed a lot over the time that it's been. But I would maybe my standard prepping plan is what everyone: food, water, shelter. Make sure all those are in order, and I kind of think everything else would take care of itself.
Do you have a number, a benchmark you're getting to, or is it just keep going?
To be fair, mate, I think I'm pretty much set up for. I do it in reverse, mate, to a lot of people. So I'm more on side of water than food. So water is my main goal, my main effort focus, if you want to say that's where it's at.
Yeah.
So I'm more water focused. So I've probably got water for maybe up to a year. And
nice.
Then food I've got maybe 6 months, on the proviso that if something really bad did happen, that 6 months, mate, you could push easily to 9 months, maybe longer.
Yeah, you could stretch out
in that situation.
Yeah. Cool. Barry, same question. A reminder, it's: do you have a prepping plan? And if yes, how far are you away from achieving your goals?
I'm along the same lines as Andy, to be honest. The prepping plan's an ever-evolving beast. Just when you think you've got enough of something, you think, okay, maybe I can add a little bit more to this or a little bit more to that. I'd say about 95% ideally where I want to be, but as I say, that goalpost. Best to keep moving it.
Yeah. Brian, I probably know your answer to this already. I mean, you could probably put Andy to shame with the massive water storage you're in the middle of building right now, but
I was waiting on that coming. You, I mean, did I say it
What? Same question. Do you have a prepping plan? And if yes, how far are you from hitting that mark?
I think this is going to be the common answer for everybody. You start out with an aspirational list, and then it's never enough. You're never going to have enough water, enough power banks, enough food, and you add more. What I would say is you'll go for the basics and then tweak it as you go for evolving or specific threats, but you'll never be happy with what you've got. None of us will.
Yeah. I'll answer the question as well, of course. So I think I've hit my short-term goals with prepping, like food and water and stuff like that, and everything I need in the house. So I've took a step into the skill side of things and fine-tuning and learning more of that. Once I'm happy with that, I'll probably start buying stuff again, because like you say, it's a never-ending goal. But I do think there has to be a point where you stop going to farm foods and rinsing their shelves, So, but yeah, that's me at the moment. Onto the skills side of things more than anything else. Thank you for your question. Kettle is always on. I like the name as well. Let's go to the chat. 26 chat behind already. A super sticker from Shadow Scout Swede. I really appreciate that. I'm not sure what 50 sec is, but whatever it is, it's really appreciated. Thank you. Let's just scan down. I'm looking for capitals, guys. I'm sorry if I miss anything. We will have a chat in between as well where you can get involved. Here's one. Here you go. I will star some and we'll come back to them, so I won't be doing them all back to back. But Lee said, if you could only learn one skill for SHTF, i.e. first aid, construction, self-defense, butchery, gardening, which one would you choose? But Brian's first this time.
I would have to say gardening, because I would kill a plastic plant as things stand at the moment. And from a practical point of view, in the game of Prepper Top Trumps, it would probably be all of them, because you could grow stuff year round and store it, whereas the rest of them are more kind of niche.
Right. Okay. Barry, same question.
First aid's in the bag. Butchery's the next on the list, and gardening I pretty much do year round as it is anyhow. So butchery is definitely the next one on my list. Yeah.
You need to mentor Brian if he can kill a plastic plant. Yeah, for me, if I'm saying it like from a complete green perspective, it would be first aid advice to new preppers. First aid would be first thing, because that's not even preparing for something to happen. That's preparing for everyday life. So I would prioritize first aid. For me, I've done first aid. I'm qualified joiner. Probably his butchery. I'd be interested. I've done the very basics with rabbits and stuff, but I'd be very interested to know more about butchery for me.
You seem to do all right with the channel.
He butchers that pretty well.
Wow. Andy, I brought you back so you can defend me. Where were you jumping in?
Strike while he's
Sorry,
weak,
Mike.
Andy. No mercy.
Straight for there. Straight for there.
Andy, same question.
Yeah, I think I would go for butchery, mate. I think the other ones I'm pretty decent. I mean, I was team medic in the army and I'm first aider at work. Construction like you, qualified time served joiner. And we grow our own food now. So butchery, mate, would be the top one on that list for me, I think.
Yeah. Cool. There you go. Thanks for the question, Lee. Lee from the Bug Out, Prepping and Survival. Great YouTube channel and a great shop as well. So make sure you go and check him out, Miss Will.
Oh, just one on Lee's channel. If you are fascinated with gear and you're a bit of a gear pest like I am, Lee put a great video up of him buying some army surplus boxes.
Oh, that was a brilliant video.
If you're fascinated by gear like I am, I sat there today and watched it 3 times in a row, looking at all the different gear and that he was pulling out. So if you've written that type of thing, give Lee's channel a watch.
There you go.
I'm not going to lie, mate. I've got questions why you watched that 3 times. Was there lube involved? I mean, what were you doing?
I was looking to see what he was going to put up on his website, see if I could snag a bargain before anyone else.
Put on the shemag. You know what makes me so. You're a sick puppy, Andy. Never change.
I'm starring the other questions, so don't think I've missed you in the chat, but we have to keep going back to the pre-asked ones as well. So we'll go to one of them now. It's from James Sent Whistle. He said, as preppers, what lessons did you learn from the C-19 pandemic? Oh, said the P word, demonetized. We will come straight round the clock, and it's you first this time, Barry. As preppers, what did you learn from that time?
Don't take everything at face value.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Because I work in the health service anyhow. You're getting a lot of information coming from the government. You're getting a lot of information coming from the folk who are actually out on the road dealing with this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you'd think at least some of the information would match up. It doesn't. Take everything you hear with a pinch of salt.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Andy, any lessons from that time?
I think, even though I think we all do it as preppers, I think critical thinking is probably the one thing I would take away. Taking all the information and everything that you hear and see and form your own opinion and go off there. And it was quite well. I've never seen anything like on that scale where people blindly followed what they were being told, which is quite scary, really. You know, nobody was willing to challenge. Well, very few people willing to challenge the narrative. So that would be my takeaway from the pandemic, was definitely more critical thinking.
There's more sheep than you realize in the world.
Yeah.
Brian, what did you learn from that time?
That despite a practical demonstration of why you should prep, people didn't change their habits. That's what I found the biggest lesson and the worst lesson. That despite seeing a reason why your life can change overnight for the worst, it never changed people's habits long term.
No, quickly slipped back into exactly how it was before, and it was all forgotten in a heartbeat. It is scary. For me, on a personal level, as a prepper generally, I realized most of my PPE for that kind of thing was army surplus or military spec kind of stuff, which is not very incognito if you need to nip to Tesco. So it was a case of after that, because you couldn't get it during that, I did increase the amount of civvy PPE that I had and a bit less conspicuous. So that was my individual lesson learned for that. Thank you for the question there, James. Really appreciate that. knock that off the list. Another 20 comments behind. C19 didn't prep me. I didn't trust the Gov beforehand and don't trust them now, says Kelly. Mike learned that the police will jump on new powers so quickly.
When it suits them.
I think many people were Watchmen. I think many people were. It's just what did that... We have to learn as we go as preppers, right? We did have other questions here in the chat. Prepping plan is a live document which evolves and goes by. Just need a start point. Sorry, that was a comment that I starred. Serious question from Anarchy. I recently lost my father and best mate in a matter of weeks. Has anyone given any serious thoughts of how they would cope with losing loved ones in an SHTF situation? Well, first of all, really sorry for your loss. Heart goes out to you and your family. But yeah, I think we've touched on this on scenarios. So Andy can go first again because he skipped out on all them scenarios. Twiddling his thumbs. It's a serious question. It genuinely is, because it's not everyone's family's nearby. You've got distant family. It's how do you and the thought that they might already be gone and stuff like that. It's a lot to deal with. How would you cope with losing loved ones in an SHTF situation, Andy?
Yeah, my thoughts go out to you, mate. I hope everyone in your family's okay. Well, I suppose, mate, weirdly, it's a good question for me to answer, seeing as though I was a qualified counsellor, wasn't I? Well, I still am, technically. I just stopped doing it maybe a month ago. It's kind of a weird one, mate, because obviously, if it happened in a SHTF scenario, like a lot of things, it would probably get pushed back, because it wouldn't be the immediate thing you'd have to deal with. If it was an SHTF scenario, other things would take priority, wouldn't they? You know, it would be food, shelter, security. All those things would take place. The number one thing, mate, I would suggest is I've got some really good books at home that would help you through the process and help give you a better insight to grief. So once the live's finished, I'll put in the comment section, I'll put in 2 or 3 books that helped me, especially because grief was kind of one of the things that I was interested in the most. So I'll put a couple of books in the comments, only 2 or 3, that really are the best books, and it's not in an academic way. You know, it was people going through grief and how they dealt with it, especially in some tough situations as well. So it'll probably be quite pertinent for the SHF scenario as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm sure that'll help a lot of people. Brian, have you put thoughts into this? Because we touched on this with the scenario about people turning up and how you can emotionally prepare for that.
First of all, mate, I'm really sorry to hear that. As much as it's not going to mean anything to you, it's there anyway. They say time's a healer, and I do believe that, but time's important for this scenario, because in a prepping situation, you don't have time, or you probably won't have time to grieve. And if you've certainly got other family members there, their safety and well-being will be at your forefront. I think, like everything in life, when you've got the quiet time, when there's no immediate threat or things to do, and you've got your time to think and contemplate, that's when the shit's going to hit you, unfortunately. But I think time is a key factor, and everybody else round about you. If you've got too much time in your hands, you're probably going to dwell on it. Yeah.
Anything to add there, Barry, for that one?
Other than my condolences, obviously. You know, times like the other guys have said, it's going to play on your mind. But when you've got the quiet time, that's probably when it's going to hit you the hardest. Myself recently lost my father, and the way I found myself coping with it was I just found myself basically turning off my emotions internally and just rocking up to work and getting on with the job. Ended up getting sent home because my mind wasn't in the right place, so I was really no good to anybody.
Yeah.
but it's grief's an individual thing to everybody, and it'll hit people in different ways. Some people will cope with it straight away, some people won't. But in a SHTF scenario, it'll probably be the last thing that you think of, because you'll have other things on your mind, and deal with it as you would do a prep, one step at a time.
I can't add any more than these guys have said. They've all hit the nail on the head with it. It is time and stuff like that. And I do think even if you go out like wild camping, like Andy, if you go out and set up a bivvy and do a night out, you're doing something all the time up until the point you fall asleep.
Yeah.
So if it's a survival situation, like you say, it's probably not going to be there. I think somehow I would never encourage anyone to bottle up feelings. I've done it. I've learned the hard way. But I think in that situation, you're going to have no choice. So just be prepared and have a support network around you for when you do end up with that quiet time. Because, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you've got people around you, even in SHTF, that you can vent to, that you can cry on the shoulder of, whatever you need to do. Thank you for the question, Anarchy. And again, much love to all the family and stuff. Last one in the chat before we go back to the regulars was Mark's Adventures. What was the first thing you bought for your preps? First thing? Wow.
God.
Why is this me first? We've just gone around the clock. I can't say exactly, because I've always had a full pantry. I've been brought up like that, but I never thought of it as prepping. But I would say the first thing I bought for a situation that wasn't every day, like an SHTF kind of situation, was probably the first time I got a water filter, a gravity water filter. It was a really old one, and it wasn't even like chrome like the fancy ones I've got now. It was like 2 plastic buckets practically. And I got that based on water warnings that were in the area. And that's the first prep I kind of got. So, that's my answer. But it probably is, if we go on to go to nitty gritty, it was probably an extra 6 tins of beans. Andy, first prep, can you remember?
The first thing, as soon as that question popped up, the thing that came to my mind was when I was in Afghanistan, I went to a Dutch PX shop, and they had loads of Gucci stuff in there, loads of Gucci kit in there, and I ended up buying. I think at the time, they were quite new. They're quite popular now. It was a 5.11 tactical Rush 72.
All right, okay.
And the reason I bought it was because it had the slot to put your helmet in.
Right.
And
okay.
I hated carrying that thing about, so that was originally why I bought it. But when I come back, that ended up becoming like my grab bag, essentially. Yeah. So it was kind of my day set, my patrol pack while I was out there. But when I come home, it kind of morphed into my grab bag, and I've still got it now.
I was going to ask if you've still got it. Cracking piece of kit. It'll last forever, wouldn't it?
It's solid, mate. Yeah, it's so robust. It's outlasted everything I've put it through. So that probably is, mate, the first thing that turned into a prep, I suppose.
It's a good first prep, a bag to put the preps in, right? It's
yeah. It was better than the issued. It was better than the issued rubbish MTP thing that we got issued before we went. It was horrendous.
Yeah. Brian, first prep.
God, the bad Dutch. Don't even know how to answer that one, to be honest. I think.
To be fair, I was expecting you to say condom, so.
Well, those preps failed, mate. I've got 3 kids. I want my money back.
We must shop at the same rubber store.
I hate the smell of burning rubber. So, on that sinister, sleazy note, I think probably the first thing that springs to mind was a box of American MREs, because I was working, I was contracting, covering all over the north of Scotland, and it was winter time, around about 2010, and I put in 25 gallons and jerry cans in the back of the pickup, and a full box of American MREs. So I think
did you just think I didn't want any nutrition, so I'll pick the American ones? Is that your thought process on that?
I never want to shit again as long as I live.
25 days on the road, he never went to the toilet.
Embraced constipation, with great enthusiasm.
Barry, what was your first prep?
Pocket power bank. I had a failure on the phone, basically. Forgot the old charging lead and plug, and that was it. Went and got a pocket power bank, and I've got several since. So
That's it. They thought this is a good idea to prepare for something. Ting, light bulb moment.
it is what it is.
That's it. Anarchy also put a £2 super chat in there. Much appreciated. Thanks again, guys. Very much appreciated.
I put a comment in the chat, mate. I don't know whether he saw it or not. If he's on Discord, feel free to message me on Discord, mate. I can go into some more stuff in depth if he needs to chat or anything.
There you go. Well, I don't need to find the comment now because I'm 50 behind. But the offer's there, Anarchy. Make sure you reach out if you need to. I shouldn't have had a gassy lager while I'm doing this. I'm trying to hold my... just scrolling through, making sure I don't miss any in there. Robert Foster. I've seen it. I'll star it. We'll come to it after.
Spam bacon.
Shush. Spoilers. Oh, here we go. Speaking of stupid questions... This was the question that was pre-asked.
No, they're not for Mike.
4 lights, fully charged.
That's your
Did
phone.
the missus do it for you?
That was my phone in the 90s. Yeah, I was like, babe, quickly charge these because before we get the stream. No, yes, my power banks are charged. I'm sure all these guys are. Thank you for your questions, Selena. Luke K1 says, do you financially prep too once all your base and essential preps are squared away? Obviously somewhat a tricky question as people don't openly talk about finances. I mean, I think we can talk about financial prepping without divulging personal finances. We all know that, like, I've done a video recently that I've started getting bits of silver and stuff like that. By the way, remember the disclaimer. It's all our own opinions. We're not financial advisors. We're not medical advisors, anything like that, blah, blah, blah. But because of the markets, I've started getting a bit of silver. Who was first last time? It was me, wasn't it? So, Andy, do you financially prep too?
Yes, mate, I do. I jumped on the silver train. Maybe it was definitely pre-COVID.
Right. Okay.
And I've got. I don't mean like I'm like George Soros, mate. I haven't got like stacks and stacks of silver in me games rooms, But I bought quite a few of the 1 ounce coins.
Yes, that's what I've started with. Just one a month sort of thing.
Yeah, and that was for a multitude of reasons. So I do that, and I've got quite a decent amount in my savings, mate. I do a portion of my wage every month goes straight into my savings account, non-negotiable. For a rainy day, for example. So when I was talking to the guys before we started, if my job finishes in the middle of May, I'd be okay, mate, for probably 6 months, maybe. And that's my buffer to get the bills and that paid. And then I've also got a little stash of cash, like 200 quid, just for like before when all apps went down, nobody could get money out the bank, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit stashed away for that reason.
There you go. Very, very prepared there, Andy. Brian, although I think all prepping, food, water, everything is a form of financial prepping because the more prices go up, the more we're technically saving. Have you jumped onto the silver wagon or financial prepping in any way?
I'm shit with money, mate. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm absolutely rotten with money. I do try, but I spend it like it was your chewing crack, mate. To be honest, I do try. So I've added 3% to my pension this year because that's a financial prep. I've doubled to the solar and battery capacity because that's a prep and it will save me money. And I'm building the duck pond out in the back garden to store my preps in. Mm-hmm. So that's not so good at saving money, I've got to admit.
Yeah. I mean, you'll all think I'm crazy and I'll get some abuse, but I've pulled out of my work pension. And I've already got a private pension. So there's already something in place, which I can put anything I've already contributed into it. So that's ongoing. But the amount I was putting into the contribution, I'm now putting into metals and stuff like that, and I'm creating my own pension fund in that way. So,
yeah, we never talk about that. That is fucking stupid. It's the most efficient tax relief you'll ever get.
Another day, maybe. But anyway, Barry, financial prepping.
Yeah, as we've discussed on one of our previous chats, I budget X amount for preps and everything each month. I've got a workplace pension. I've got a private pension from years and years ago. Gold and silver is something I've started to look at. But knowing my luck, by the time I get around to actually doing that, the prices will have gone north again. So, I've got some cash stashed as well. So, if anything does happen, like when the bank system went down recently, I'm sound. So, yeah.
I mean, what I would say is it's going to continue to go north. So people, when it jumped up to like £16 silver per ounce, people probably thought, oh, I can't get it now. It's too expensive. And now it's like 20 odd and stuff like that. It's, as much as it might be expensive to get into, there's never a bad time, in my opinion. Personal opinion, mind. Personal opinion. And this is the guy that stopped his pension, and Brian's going to have a go out after the live anyway. So
can't wait for that.
I have to go as soon as we end. There's no after chat for this one, gents. Thank you for the question. It's really appreciated. Let's go back to the comments and see what abuse is here. Let me star a few more here to star. I can see in capitals. I will try and get them all. There we go. Look, see, there we go. There we go. Well done, Mike. BYOB, be your own bank. I be my own bank and I bring my own beer. There you go. I do both BYOBs.
You can be your own bank, but you'll save 42% tax on the pension at source. So,
but I'm saving 100% on not giving them any money.
Oh, you're not, because you're paying
We'll argue
tax
later.
wages.
We'll argue later, Brian. We'll argue later. We'll never get through the evening. We'll have to record.
I work with stupid people.
We'll have to record it and do an after-hours special. I've lost all the comments. There they are. We've done that one. Here we go. Robert Foster says, spam or bacon grill? Bacon grill being nearly a third of the price. Very simple. We'll just have the single answer from everyone. So start, Brian, spam or bacon grill?
Spam.
Yes. Barry?
Both. I'll eat anything.
No, you got to pick one. This is an either-or situation.
Spam.
Spam. There we go. I'm spam.
Spam. It's like Monty Python sketch.
Yeah. Eggs, bacon, beans, spam, lobster thermidor, spam.
It's merely a scratch.
Andy. Spam.
Bacon grill.
Andy.
Bacon grill every day of the week.
That's it.
Oh, controversial.
Oh. Why did you
Every
come
day
back? Honestly.
You know what? You choosing spam over bacon grill is worse than leaving the workplace pension. That's how bad that mistake is. Bacon grill is superior to spam. I can't believe I'm the only one who picked this.
Listen, it's superior only at price bracket. That's all. Anyway. Thank you for the question. Miss Worm says, why do you think so many preppers ignore fitness as don't say the F word? 119 people, watch them all disappear. Ignore the F word as a prep, not looking at anyone in particular.
I'll be saying a few F words. I know what she means. Is Miss Worm perchance hinting that I might be the rotund prepper? Is that what she's meaning?
That's a good name for a channel.
Yeah, the husky prepper.
Barry, we'll come to you first as a serious side of this. Is it something you've considered? Is fitness a prep for you?
Yes, definitely. Because if you can't carry your kit bag, you're not going to get very far away from ground zero if something happens. Simple
100%. 100%. I'll answer as obviously yes. It's something that I need to improve on, definitely. But it falls into everything. And people that anyone that struggles, that thinks, well, I can't do fitness because I'm at home and I'm in a chair or what have you. You can eat a bit better. You can do a little bit. There's always something you can do to improve your physical fitness most of the time. I'm looking at you, Brian. Andy, it's everything in the army, isn't it, mate? So it's you wouldn't get through selection otherwise.
It is, mate. Yeah, but I think why so many preppers may ignore it is because as soon as you say the F word, the preppers, they think you mean you need the fitness of a Royal Marine Commando, or you want them to complete an Ironman, or you want them to run a marathon, and you don't. If, like the first question about the prepping plan, if your plan is, when something goes bad, is to walk, say, for example, your parents live 2 miles away. If your goal is to get to your parents' house, then practice that 2 miles and put that in your plan. Put the weight on your back and walk 2 miles. Walk 2 miles home. Fitness is in relation to your preps. If you don't need to walk 30 miles with 100 pounds on your back, then don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. Just put your fitness plan to what your prepping plan is, and people would find it a lot easier and would have more confidence in the preps if that's what they did.
Yeah. Jokes aside, Brian's done quite a bit of fitness. He's used to do a bit of bodybuilding and stuff like that. Brian, how important is it for preppers?
See, when you're in the zone and you're training and your body's up for it, it's dead easy. When it's not, or if it's a bit fucked, it's really, really hard. But I think once you're started, if you actually start the path of fitness, it's a hell of a lot easier, and you'll stick to it because the gains are incremental. The worst thing in the world is people talking about weight. It's an irrelevance. It's how your shape changes. That's all. The only reason you go to the gym is to change your shape.
Yeah.
Weight's an irrelevance. People get hung up on weight and it boils my piss, excuse the expression.
100%.
Because it's nonsense. Because they'll sleep better, they will eat better, they will train, and then the weight will start to drop, and they'll think that's great. And then when they build body, when they're building muscle, the weight loss slows. They get heavier because the muscle's heavier than the fat, and they think they're doing something wrong, and they start pissing about with their food and their training, and they fuck it all up.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I did a PT course, I did a nutritionist course and stuff like that, and a lot of it, even on the courses, is a bit not quite right. I think it's not a one size fits all. It's definitely completely unique to everyone. And all I'll say is, if you want a fitness regime, if you want a diet plan, then don't call it either of them. It's a lifestyle change. Just walk a bit more, take the stairs instead of the elevator. Just eat a bit differently, but do it so you're not hungry and you're not starving yourself. It's lifestyle changes both times would be my answer to that one.
Yeah, couldn't agree.
I just think sticking to it. It's not starting it, it's sticking to it.
Yeah, well, that's why it's a lifestyle change, because if you change your lifestyle, you're still enjoying what you eat and you still enjoy what you're doing. If you purposely restrict your diet and it feels like a diet, you'll never, ever stick to that. Nobody sticks to a diet 100%. Like I follow like some fitness gurus like Jordan Yao on YouTube and stuff like that. And even he has fried chicken with the skin on because he enjoys it. He builds that into his plan. So he's eating the way he wants to eat. Yeah. So there you go. So we've talked about fitness. That's it. There's 10 people left in the room. Let's go back to, I'll go back to another question to knock it off the list so we can get through them. This is from Steve's 5392. Would you support an annual National Preparedness Week, and how can we get one started? Yes, I would. I've spoke to somebody about this. Somebody spoke to me about it. I did get told that November was a preparedness month. I'm not sure what country they were on about at the time, but I'd definitely be behind it. I would promote it. I would do everything I can. All I am is a voice, though. That's what I can do for it. Do you think it'd be a good idea, that, Andy?
Yeah, I don't see it as a bad idea, mate. I think it'd be good. I wouldn't have a clue, mate, how to get it up and running. That's not my skill set, mate, in any way, shape, or fashion. I would help push it out and help promote it. I would go and do stuff. I would do stands. I would do talks. I would do anything to help me get up and running. I think it's a good idea, but unfortunately, I have no clue how we can get one started.
Yeah, I think the word national makes it sound more official than it is. I think just enough people promoting it naturally does it. Brian, good idea? Bad idea?
Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic idea. But without governmental support, it's a dead idea. And they ain't interested. Because it leaves them open to too many awkward questions like, where's my bunker, Mr. Minister?
But it doesn't have to be a government-sanctioned thing, right? You can have national mental health awareness without having it sanctioned. It's just a thing that's trending, as it were.
Doesn't need to be sanctioned, but a leg up and a bit of support would make it so much easier. But even without them, it's a dead duck because you talk to people at work, the street, on here. Out of 1,000 people, you might get 10 people to follow or listen. People just don't want to know. That doesn't mean to say we stop and we still keep talking. I feel like a Jehovah's Witness with a rat pack.
Brian's religious views are that of his own.
I'll be outside the railway station with a 24-hour rat pack saying, do you want to talk about rat packs?
Barry, I'm going to twist the question for you because I know you'd support it and stuff like that. How could we, as 4 people that are willing to put ourselves in the public limelight, create a channel, etc., how do you think we could support this? How could we help this along?
As we've already discussed before, we're already doing it. We're out there on social media. We're getting the word out to people. And it only takes one person to speak to one person to speak to one person, and it facilitates it getting it out there. We've had the discussion about a national leaflet campaign, or even getting 1 or 2 ministers, just to be stick their head above the parapet and speak on its behalf. But like Brian said, if the government don't get behind it and are willing to inject at least a little bit of money into it, it's pretty much a dead duck. But us as preppers on social media channels, we're probably doing more than the government's going to do in a long time.
I think it'd be good to start a few little things off, like like you have them savings, a penny on the first day, 2p on the second day. Maybe come up with a prep version of that, like buy a can of beans on the first day, buy 2 cans of potatoes on the second day, buy some water on the third day, and make it affordable and manageable like that. This is how you end up with 90 days worth of food, kind of thing.
Do it at Christmas. Do it at Christmas, and then you can make a song about it.
To do it.
It's the best time. You open your advent calendar, it's got a candle in it on the 1st of Christmas, right? 1st day of December. And then you sing a song on the 3rd day of Christmas, My True Love Gave to Me, and it's got like a bayonet in it or something.
That would be an interesting calendar.
My true love gave
5
to
rat
me
packs.
an out of date MRE.
That's a one.
You know what might not be a bad idea for it, Mike? What we were talking about earlier, where we were doing on about that £50 challenge. Doing that £50 challenge, mate, on National Preparedness Week or month or whatever, might be a good idea to get the ball rolling, because everybody loves those challenges. They're always a good laugh. They're always funny. You get people engaged. So maybe if they wanted to get one up and running, that would be a good way to start it.
Yeah, we could all plan some sort of good size video or some sort of project and release it within that week, like make it a big thing on that week. It's a good idea. Steve, I'll be interested to know if you've got any insights into it as well. Please get in touch with me. You've got my email address or on Discord, and I'm more than happy to get involved with that. 55 comments behind the times here. What is going on? But can bacon grill be eaten straight from the can like Spam, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've never done it. I've always cooked it. But the guys back in the day,
failed. He said, "I think
like
so."
people like Mitch in the comment section, like Mitch, they'll be able to tell you more than I can, because it used to get issued in ration packs. So I would imagine you could eat it straight from the tin. Yeah,
you can.
You can eat rations cold.
Well, I'll tell you that you can, but everyone already knows that with Spam. Just saying.
Meow. So bitchy.
Viking Mitch is in the house. Well said, Andy. Fitness is key. Training in all weathers is also a must. Yes, SHTF will not happen on a bright, sunny, slightly mild afternoon where you can just walk at your leisure. It's going to be crappy weather, I have no doubt. Take up a sport like football or airsoft to get you fit without even knowing it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, anyone, the good thing if you into airsoft like I am is, suddenly lots of army surplus comes in handy. So yeah, it's great. And if you're like me and you take things a bit too serious, it does get you fit as well. Just scanning down to the bottom, trying not to miss anyone. To apologize if you do. Sorry, Andy's in there talking to you anyway. He's just,
So's Brian. Slap his wrist.
Oh, fucking super snitch there. Hey, drops me right in it. Andy the super grass, he's back 2 minutes. He stitched me up.
That's what you get me for using spam over bait and grill.
I won't be able to afford any spam if I've no pension.
You'll be on the bacon grill.
I'll be on the bacon grill.
See, there you go. Look, like Mitch said, bacon grill, eat it cold straight out of the tin. There you go.
Yeah, I know you can. I just wanted to test you.
Have
that spam. Does it have the handy wrinkle? My bacon grill doesn't. Anyway, raw corned beef, that's the way forward. Philip Hull 7919 says, after you have food, water reserves, there are many other areas of prepping. How would you recommend planning what gear, skills, areas to focus on sequentially? Brian, you're first on this one.
Power.
Okay, Barry.
It's dead simple. If you've got the basics sorted, then your comfort and other essentials would be some form of power. So power bank, small, medium, large, little solar panel. That's what I think.
That's what he thinks. Barry.
He's only said that because it's his area of expertise, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Shares in Anchor. He's got shares.
Yeah.
Shares in EcoFlow. I just am an anchor.
It's a really good question. I mean, once you've got your basics sorted, like Brian says, what else is there to plan for? How long's a piece of string? It's just a case of once you've got the basics, build on them. If you've got half a dozen tins of beans, bump it up to double figures and, add an extra power bank every now and again, add an extra case of water. If you think that you're lacking in skills, see what's out there, what's local to you, get those ones done first, Again, with planning being such an individual subject, it's down to yourself. You know what you're capable of doing. Just improve on the areas that you're lacking. Yeah. It's an individual thing.
Yeah, and that's my answer. It is an individual thing, and it all depends on your prep, what you're prepping for. I mean, a lot of us say, "Oh, we're prepping for everything," but people have scenarios in their head. We've ran scenarios on here, so think of what you think is the most likely, and run that through in your head. It costs next to nothing for paper and a pen, paper and a pencil, something like that. If times are really hard, I think you can still get a pencil from Argos when they're not looking. But writing a plan, coming up with a plan, will dictate that for you.
Yeah.
And it will run that for you. And one thing a lot of people negate when it comes to prepping is good quality clothing. All right. Good, durable quality clothing. All right. Because it's not a case of, there's a hole in this, I'm going to nip to Primani and get another one. It's a case of, it needs must, you stitching things together and stuff like that. That's why a lot of people swear by the Army Surplus, because it's built strong, it's built rugged.
Yeah.
If you can get it new, even better. So yeah, clothing, and I'm sure Andy will agree, boots as well, essential as part of that clothing. Andy, same question.
For me, mate, we had some of the military. It was called 5s and 20s, and it was predominantly if you thought there was an IED near you. I'm going with I've got a point to this. So if you were stood there, it would be from where you're stood 5 meters out, you would check that area, immediate area, and then you go out to 20 meters and look further out. So if you had all of that in your, if you had the food, the water reserves, I'd do my 5s and 20s. And in that position, mate, I would look at my house. What do I need to do at the house? Whether that be power, whether it be growing food in my garden. And then I would do my 20s and look at the wider area. And when it comes to gear, so say, for example, if I lived, well, I live in quite an urban area, the clothing that I would need to survive there, if I was going from A to B, would be a lot less as if I lived rurally. So if I lived where I live now, I could probably get away with certain type of clothing and running trainers if I'm going from A to B. If I live rurally, the entire situation is different, and my 20s is totally different. So I would need boots. I would need better outdoor clothing weather. So that's what I would do for Philip, if that's what he was thinking of. I would do my 5s and 20s, do my immediate area, and then look at where my prepping plan would take me. If I'm going through city centres, or I'm going through rurally, I'm going across rivers, that's the way I would take that.
Yeah, 100%. All circumstance again, and all very personal to whatever your plan is. Thank you for that question, Phil. Really appreciate it. Just having a quick look down here. I've got a couple of questions to start. This is going to, at some point you have to stop asking questions, guys. Not right now, but at some point. If your immediate family had to move 100 miles on foot in 1 week, invasion, for instance, how cognitive words gone? Could you do it? Barry?
At a stretch, yes. I've got a wheelbarrow to get kit from A to B. I've got a couple of bikes I can strap kit to if I need to. I don't necessarily have to ride them. You can move more kit if you've actually got bikes loaded up rather than just having to leg it. I think I could just about manage it.
Yeah. It's a good one for me because I did the 90-mile hike and it really took it out of me. And that was over 4 days. So over a week, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think family members would struggle with that. So I would have to find other means, trailers, bikes, things like that. My immediate answer is no. We wouldn't be able to do that. We'd have to figure out another way. It's going to take longer, stuff like that. So I would have to have something else in place. Hence the reason I'm doing the cycle for the next charity thing. I've got a trailer. Mrs. Urban Prepper's also got a bike, which has a seat for the baby on. So we have got means and we are thinking about that. That's a good question, though. Same one to you, Andy.
What does that break down to, mate? 14, 15 miles a day? I don't think many people could do that. That is a hard task, that, to do 100 miles in 7 days.
It is if it's like that.
And all the variables that you've got, especially if it's an invasion, you've got adrenaline, stress, food and water you've got to carry, you've got to replen it, all the issues with you would have with your feet, other people. But I don't think, for me, mate, my ego says yes, I could. But realistically, I think that's too much of an ask.
I think
to do that with your family.
I think a lot of people could do it. What condition they'd be in at the other end is another story. Well, because there's a driving force.
Do it, Mike. Yeah. If there was no invasion and you had to walk 100 miles in 7 days, potentially I think people could. But if you've been invaded,
I assume he's talking about there's an invasion on that coast. We've got to evacuate, so we've got a week sort of thing. So.
I think that's a tall order, mate, personally.
Yeah, I think you can do a lot of things motivated. Like if you're being chased by a chainsaw, you can suddenly run a lot faster. So
true, you could do, but I agree with you. But if you're doing that 100 miles and you're going to be across rurally, you twist your ankle.
Oh yeah.
How fast are you moving?
Yeah,
there's too many variables for me. Mate. I don't think it's doable.
Yeah, Brian.
No,
did that last week, didn't you?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's realistic for probably 90% of the population. If you are having the Tony equation indicates it's a forced evacuation. So by definition, everybody else round about you will be in the same situation. You might be carrying more or less stuff than them. People will be robbing one another. You'll not be able to sleep properly. Somebody will need to be on stag. It'd be an absolute fucking nightmare, fitness aside. Older, younger family members.
Not everyone's near Glasgow, Brian.
With that kind of scenario, even taking age and fitness into account, no chance. Nah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. I think there's lots of variables on that. I think it's a straight yes or no. Like I say, there's a lot of things that could be all over the place on that. What do you guys think of to have martial arts skills? Who went first last? Own up. Nobody.
I remember me.
Okay, I'll go. I think martial arts are a great thing for kids and for growing up and for discipline. Self-defense as well, if it's the right kind, not the kind that's fancy poses and win this belt and stuff like that. But, practical martial arts, practical self-defense, yes, it's definite. But I think a good prepper would never be in that situation where they are in a hand-to-hand situation, would be my answer. Prepare yourself to avoid or be able to resolve that before it comes to hand-to-hand. Good skills to have, though. Andy?
Yeah. I did one. To be fair, mate, I did one Krav Maga lesson. Maybe it was quite a while back now, but I think the stuff I learned from that was more functional and practical than anything else I've learned.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of a buzzword now when everyone goes on about it, but when I tried that, and I still remember stuff from that. So whether it was the instructor or how well it was invented and being able to retain knowledge, that would be one that I would pick up a game if I was going to pick up one, because it was pressure points, how to hold people, certain locks. Because there's nowhere on this
has
planet,
more realism. Has more realism.
Yeah, and it's more real world situations that you were stuck in. There's nowhere on this planet, mate, I'm hitting someone in the head with a kick. So that was more, and I really enjoyed it, mate. It was a good. It was a good session that I did, so that would be one that I would go back and do.
Yeah, if I tried to kick somebody in the head, they'd be down from the kick in the head, but I'd be down for the broken bottom of the spine that I just created. Brian, martial arts, are you a ninja?
I have done martial arts when I was younger, and I think it's a good thing for confidence. However, the Scottish art of fuck you, as in hit them with something hard and run away, is probably the preferred option for a prepper. Going back to your first point, don't even be there. Like I said to my son when he started going out when he was younger, if somebody wants your wallet or your phone, give them it. Throw it on the ground, run away. There's nothing he's got or going to carry that we would never replace. Nothing. There's no such thing as a coward. It means nothing. Run away. Only bad things can happen if you get involved in a fight. You could get stabbed, you could get cut, you could get infected. In a prepper situation, it's a lost leader. Don't go down that route.
Yeah. Barry, anything to add on that one?
I've got to agree with the guys. Some sort of basic skill set would be ideal. But like Brian says, the number one skill is don't get involved in it in the first place. Avoid it at all costs. If you see it coming, walk the other way. That's the best skill of all, recognizing that situation.
There you go. Thank you for the question, Shadow Scout Swede. Shadow Scout Swede also has a YouTube channel. Every Saturday evening, he hosts a live and has a multitude of guests on there that are all preppers from all walks of life, from all over the world. It's worth watching. Even if you sit through 3 or 4 hours, you might pick up 1 or 2 things that could change the way you prep. Definitely worth tuning in for. Make sure you go and subscribe to his channel and check it out. And every so often, I'm on there as well, so you get to listen to my dulcet tones again. That's not a reason to unsubscribe. That's a reason to subscribe. Before I saw both Brian and Andy smirk at the same time, and I knew one of them was thinking it, so I thought I'd say it first. Let's get to the next question. This is why we need to do this Top Gear style thing. It just works. How long do British modern pouch MREs last after their best before date, please? Quite a logical question. There's no one answer from me. Feel free, all you guys, to interrupt or correct me. It all depends on the content. It all depends on so many conditions: storage, heat, anything like that, and it depends on the actual contents. You know, if it's one of the lovely, tasty bean salads, I'm sure it'll last forever. But if it's got chicken in it, it might not last as long, and so on and
It'll
so
last
forth.
forever because nobody wants to eat the fucking thing.
This is why the vegetarian option is always so much cheaper in the Army Navy stores. Has anyone got any more insights into that?
I've eaten ones. I'm sure. I don't know what video it was, but I did a video on one, and I'm going to say it was like 10 years, maybe even longer out of date, and it was absolutely fine. Trust your senses. Open it up, sniff it, dip test it with your pinky. If it smells okay, it tastes okay, get it down your neck. If you're that desperate, it'll be fine. As long as it's been stored okay and it smells okay, dip your finger in a little taste and it tastes okay, you'll be all right.
Cook the crap out of it.
I think around about 2015, mate. I was still in the army then, and I had a ration pack that had the year 2000 on it. So that was 15 years. So I think that's the ballpark that Brian did. And we to be fair, no, we found them, and it was just like it was just like a man test. Who wants to try this? Yeah. And obviously, when you're in your 20s and you're in that environment, go on, I'll try it. So we tried them from the year 2000, mate, and they were fine. Yeah. Like nothing bad happened. We weren't sick or anything. So,
can you remember the menu?
I want to say, mate, it was sausage and beans, the one that I had.
I like that one.
That's one reason I tried it, because I liked it.
Yeah. And then I ordered one from Prepper Shop UK, and it came, and it was just beans. No, it arrived, but it was just one of the meals. One of the meals was just beans. I'm like, just baked beans. I'm like, this is not a meal. This is half a can.
And a pouch of rice to go with it.
Yeah. Good question, Miss Bling. Thank you for that. The answer genuinely is they do last for quite a bit longer. I wouldn't go off the advice that we've seen on morning television of throw them in a cupboard and they'll be fine in 25 years without even thinking about it. Always sniff, taste, do all the human tests to see if it's edible. A good test to see if something's edible as well, or if it's poisonous, is your taste buds are on the underside of your tongue. Put a bit of food under there, and if it burns or anything like that, any sort of weird side effects, then spit that straight out before you swallow anything like that. So,
have you learned nothing, Mike? Spitters are quitters.
I could see that coming a mile off, literally.
That's what she said.
No, stop. There's 120 people not in here to hear your seedy humor. We are 67 comments behind.
That's the only reason they're here.
Let's get through some comments. I do appreciate you all being here. I'm sorry if I miss anyone. Let's just hide that one. That's where we were. Should you include cash in a case of power goes out for an extended period? 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can afford to have a decent amount at home, brilliant, in a safe place, obviously. But even when times are hard, there's always something in the corner of a wallet or it's something stashed away. It always keeps them on you. Cash is, even if the power's never going to come back on, that cash will hold its value for the first week because people don't know. So it's always worth having.
Yeah, spot on.
And like Andy said, it happened the other day with the bank machines going down, and you don't have to worry as much as everyone else does. Everyone seems to panic straight away. So, do you remember air out the tent when he got home? Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Which was a nightmare, by the way, because I don't have a back garden in my current location. So I literally, it's like Mrs. Urban Prepper's going, why is there a tent hanging from my kitchen roof? Don't ask questions. Look, three or four towels on the floor catching drips. It was fun. There is Shadow Scout Swede's channel. Make sure you go and check that out. While I catch up with the comments, we have 129 people in here. It's not the end. We've still got questions to get through. But while we have this captive audience, Andy, tell them about your YouTube channel because we're going to get videos. So what's coming on Alpha Kilo Prepper soon, and why should people go over there and subscribe? Ready?
Yes, mate. So I got back on YouTube the day and I started watching prep and stuff, and I watched your survival tin or Altoids tins, what a lot of people call them.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a bit of different stuff in mine. So I thought that's a pretty easy one to get done. You know, it doesn't take much editing.
First video, he wants to show me up instantly.
and then off the back of that, mate, I was in the Discord channel because I've been more active in that. I haven't really been since you created it. I haven't really been in there much, but I jumped back in there, and somebody asked me if I would do a video on if conscription became a reality. What things should they take with them? What things should they buy? And I thought that would be a good video. And I was going to do it in stages in terms of little things that you could buy in terms of map reading case, dry bags would be the main one, and then goat mate and price and different types of gear that you would take if conscription could reality. So those two, mate, are the first two ideas. The survival tin mate will be a quicker one, and the conscription one, mate, will be a little longer, more in detail.
Cool. So go and check out Andy's channel. Miss Worm has put it in the comments. It's also in the comments below. So make sure you go and check that out. Brian, Scottish Prepper 73. Tell us all about it.
I'm still doing the duck pond currently at the moment. So until the outdoor water feature's finished, I just don't have any time. So I'm hoping to buy more parts next week when I get paid, and then hopefully get that done, get all the stuff in it, and I've got power bank videos to do, imported food for the States, dried foods to do a review on. And yeah, so the solar install we just had done, and some real world testing of solar panels on a shed roof.
So you've got reams of content to come out soon then, so that's great.
Yeah.
Don't make sure if you're here and you've not already subscribed to Scottish Prepper 73, why? He's here all the time. Go and do it now. Barry, you are taking the dangerous step into YouTube along with all those idiots. What's planned and when's it planned for, and why should people go and subscribe already?
Okay, so it's a new channel, so there's no content on there at the current time. However, there is a list of videos that are going to be coming shortly. Hopefully there'll be one up in the next 48 hours. So fingers crossed.
There you go. And again, Barry's channel has been posted there in the chat by Miss Worm.
Thank you, Miss Worm.
Who will also post her channel if you want a break from prepping and just have a bit of story time. And listen to her lovely voice reading some scary stories. Go and check out Miss Worm's channel as well. And she's a published author on Amazon, has her own book out, so that's worth checking out as well. She does all the moderating. There's other moderators in here that just don't do anything because Miss Worm does it all. Well, thank you anyway for being here. Right, with that said, I wanted to get that out of the way while we actually had an audience and Brian doesn't scare them all off. We'll go back to the questions. Phil says, at what point as a prepper should you max out your finances on preps? Oh, this was discussed on Shadow Swedes the other night. Specific indicators of impending SHTF, or would you not? This was a topic for discussion on there the other day. Like at that moment, go and max out all credit cards and stuff like that and buy as much as you possibly can because you know it's coming next week. I mean, hopefully you're not doing that off the advice of certain channels on YouTube, because otherwise you'd have done it 76 times last month. Brian, we'll come to you first. At what point, I mean, you've already done it with your fish tank, but at what point...
You complete shit.
Once you get paid again, at what point do you do that? That's the question, I suppose.
No, to be honest, mate, I'll waste it's not a waste. I invest a ridiculous amount of money in preps, but I would like to think it's dual use. You can use it for camping, use it to save money, different things. However, the question is, if I genuinely thought shit was hitting the fan, I would max out every credit card. I would empty the bank. I would try and get short-term loans, whatever I could, and I would spend. If I genuinely believed something was coming.
And there's got to be
if I needed the things.
There's got to be many factors to that. It's got to be like seeing is believing, right? It can't be, please don't do it off a thumbnail or a video that you're watching. Just Be sensible.
The caveat is to all of that, we're here as preppers, or as much as we try to be, so that we don't ever have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All going well, we'll have enough stuff gathered, skills and everything else, that we do not have to be that person panic buying and scraping money together. So God forbid we should never be in this position.
Yeah. Okay, Barry, you said you've got a monthly budget for prepping when we had our podcast and stuff like that. At what point does that go out the window and everything else gets put on the back burner? Or does it ever?
I would say I wouldn't go down that road. I wouldn't want to max everything out, because hopefully there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. But again, like Brian says, you never know. I think I've got enough preps. I don't feel the need to sort of go out and max everything out or do any of those kind of things, because where am I going to put it as well? That's the thing. I'm limited on space.
Doesn't matter. You shouldn't be entertaining guests. Or
no guests would be here, believe me. But no, I don't. There's things to consider. You know, everything, and I mean literally everything would have to go tits up.
Yeah,
massively before I'd even consider doing it.
Yeah. It's an easy one for me. I've got no money, so we don't have credit cards. I've never done it. The closest thing I've ever had to a credit card in my life is a Burton's menswear store card. Don't judge me. It used to be fashionable. It used to be fashionable, but what I would say though, advice to people in genuine, if this is something that you've had in the back of your mind, like if that happens, I'm going to go out and blah, 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 and all this, I would just do it logically and tactically. Do it places like Amazon and stuff like that, where you've got a 30-day return policy. Yeah. So if it doesn't hit the fan 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, I can return all this and pay off that card and not be stung. Yeah. So make sure you always have a get out way if it all turns, because we could be on the precipice, which a lot of people say we are right now. And it could all turn on a dime and it could be absolutely fine. So just make sure you've got a way to go.
That's actually a really good point, Mike, about the, but obviously don't go abusing it.
Yeah, but you could return stuff easily and stuff like that. So it's an option. It'd be a pain in the ass to return it all, but, it could be done. Andy, would you max everything out?
Only in the extreme circumstance, mate, like Bryce just outlined. Other than that, mate, I appreciate I've been doing it for like 15 years, so I'm in a pretty good spot. But I mean, we still live with like a good normal life, mate. We've still got meals together, we've still got the pub, we still go on holiday, and I think it's important to keep sight of those things. If you did want to spend money, mate, what I would do is I would treat it as your hobby. Say, for example, I don't know, your hobby would be collecting films or collecting Pepsi Max, whatever it would be. I would just switch the budget and treat it like your hobby. And say, for example, every month you had £300 for your hobby, I would just spend that on preps. I would do it that way. I wouldn't be putting myself in a financial struggle to prep. And also, don't forget as well, mate, whatever you have as preppers, you're better off than 90% of the population, I would say. It might even be more than that.
Yeah. The irony is, if a month ago Brian had swapped from Pepsi Max to water, his shed would
He'd be dead. He'd be dead. He'd be dead from withdrawals.
I'd be sleeping right now.
I'd be
300 quid better off.
Yeah, well, that's a habit. That's a habit. Let's quickly check the comments.
I can stop when I want to.
Yeah, of course. Don't be careful you don't spill. I already did. I was watching somebody else's live just before I went live, and I was laughing and nearly spilt it.
Who were you watching, Mike?
I was just watching this other person. Don't worry, he's not a
person?
prepper. Don't worry, he's not a prepper.
I'm no following you, mate. Who was it?
Well, it doesn't matter because it's not a prepper.
You seem quite evasive about it. Who was this mystery person?
Oh, I wonder who could mention me.
Next question is from Zebra Prep, another one of our moderators. Do you think there is any important prepping items which get forgotten or overlooked? This is often one that we touch on when we have any of our firesides and stuff. Barry, you're first on this. Is there any important prepping items which get forgotten and overlooked?
Tough question. I mean, to be honest, all preps are important. And you're never going to know what you've forgotten until you need it, and you haven't got it.
But what would be a common one for that?
It's a bit of an awkward one. Underestimating the amount of water you're probably going to need. I've found that out myself.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously that's something I'm addressing.
Water's a good one. Water's a good answer because I think a lot of people go straight for food and tinned foods, and they'll grab themselves a couple of bottles of water and think I'm sorted for water, not realizing they need it to cook, clean, everything like that. So water's a good one. For me, I've mentioned it before. I'll say it again. I think clothing is always overlooked. People just think what they've got is fine. If it was a true Teotihuacan kind of situation, you know, maybe you could go shopping for clothes, but it's good to have something hard wearing and stuff like that, and something that can last. And ideally, something that doesn't need washing constantly. You know, like denim, for example, stays relatively fresh all the time. Stuff like that. Maybe a big brown leather coat, Barry. You know, that could have been one. So
didn't forget that.
Didn't forget that one. Andy, we've had this question quite a few times. Is there anything you can advise on that?
I think, like Barry said, for me, mate, it would be water. Like, you know, everybody bangs on about having food, but 3 days without water, mate, you're dead. And I was watching today, mate, before we came in here, I was watching the 72-hour video you three guys did. And the one about the other guy who said you could, for 72 hours, just carry one 500ml bottle of water. Absolute lunatic.
I think I said
absolute
that.
Lunatic. I don't know on what planet anybody thinks 72 hours you're surviving off that. Even if it was possible, day 2, laid in your bed not doing anything, severe dehydration, and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think the point on that wasn't like thriving and living and being in general. It meant literally stay alive.
But I don't think you would, though, mate. That's what I'm saying.
But if you can go 3 days without water, without dying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you at the 3rd day you would be dead.
Yeah.
So even if you did drink that 500ml bottle of water on day 3, you're not crawling anywhere. You would literally be on your bed. You wouldn't be able to achieve anything. So if that was me, I would sacrifice food for water. In that instance, if it was 3 days, I would take water over food. But so in reference to the question, 100%, mate, I think water's overlooked. I think most people go for food. Yeah.
Underestimated a lot. Yeah. Brian, for someone who's not drank water for the last 20 years,
no, there's clearly water in this.
Something wet in it.
It's mostly water.
Anyway, delusional. Brian, any preps often forgotten and overlooked?
I'll go with water, mate, because I think it's the one thing most people never have enough of, and it's the one thing they'll need first and foremost. And thanks to Andy's voice of reason and a house of madness there, I'm just so grateful for his sanity and his reasoned, well-structured arguments.
Wouldn't it be nice, Brian, if you could structure an argument now and again?
I can't, though.
Just results.
I just swear more.
Headbutts and swearing. That's what he results. Question from Band again. How much does Brian spend on Pepsi? Too much is the answer.
About 300 quid a month, roughly.
Wow. Yeah, that's wrong in so many ways. That's my family food budget.
But I need it.
Insane. Watchman says get MOD kit, clothes and stuff. It is good. It's good, durable. You do have to take into consideration the grey man. Remember the situation I was in with the pandemic where all my stuff was military stuff. Looks a bit odd going to Tesco, stands you out like a sore thumb. So just think about that as well. So have some grey man think about that. But you can get military spec stuff that's not always DPM and MTP. That's Talaboy posting the links there. Who hasn't liked the stream? Miss Worm will come for you. Trust me, that is not something you want. She will fly over on her broom. So make sure you. Her words, not mine, Barry. I'm not insulting her randomly. Oh, look at that Iron Brew. Look, we've got a real Scottish person in the chat, at least, you know, flying the flag.
I used to like it, and then I drank a litre bottle of Blue Label vodka, and the diet Iron Brew I'd mixed it with was off because I was violently sick. So I don't drink it anymore.
Still drinks vodka. It doesn't care about that. It was the Iron Brew.
It was obviously off, mate.
Obviously, yeah. It wasn't the vodka. It was obviously
no. It's clearly the Iron Brew.
Kelly's Eye says, "Have you made plans for after a SHTF situation? An event could be transitionary.
Transitory.
Well, same thing." Listen, we know I can't speak or read. Don't have to point it out. You're supposed to be a therapist. Ready to cry now. Andy, you go first.
No, mate, I haven't. Purely, I think if it was a SHF situation, mate, it would be pure survival mode.
Yeah.
And my prep, then I suppose your ultimate prep and plan would then come into place. You know, it would be security your house, security your family, planting food, make sure you prep, rotate your preps. And then at some point, mate, you are eventually going to have to go out and look for stuff, whether that would be scavenging from other houses. You know, I'm talking to the extreme end of the scale here.
Yeah.
And you and I suppose that would be implemented. But I don't have a solid plan, mate, for after. I suppose it would just be trying to continue my quality of life for as long as I could, as best I could, and make it the transition and the safety of my family the most important thing.
Yeah.
And just on that back end there, Mike, like, I would do everything I could to not be transitory. Whatever, I would move heaven and earth to stay home. Like, no way on this planet would you be getting me leaving my house unless it was on fire. Like, there would be absolutely no reason why I would be leaving it.
Oh, it's always the last resort sort of thing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Brian, similar sort of thinking, or do you have a different perspective?
100%. No, exact same. Almost word perfect. We prep so that we get through situations. We just don't know what the situation is going to be. So you can't really plan for events after it when you don't know what the disaster or situation might be. So we plan to survive, and then we deal with the fallout.
Yeah. Barry?
Yeah, not a lot I can add to what the lads have just said. I've got a few books, for the kind of rebuild society scenario type thing. But again, 100% stay in place as long as possible. That's it. I can't really add any more.
The only thing I will add is one prep, which is kind of for after, which is what I've done on videos, which makes my bug out bag into a so-called inch bag, is backing up documents, backing up files, backing up personal things during SHTF, and if it ended up as full Teotihuacan, it's useless. It's just a stick. But if it does, it comes back and it all regains and stuff like that. You've got all that backed up. So that's the only thing I would add to that. That's what I have planned in that case situation. But to me, SHTF is exactly what it says on the tin. If it's a minor flood in the area, if it's something that affects your area, a minor situation, I wouldn't class that as SHTF. So all the lads are spot on with it, but that's the only prep I've done for a kind of after situation. But thank you for the question, Kelly. I really appreciate that. He's got 2 in a row, Kelly I here. How could we secure transport for heading out to our safe locations? Availability, fuel, servicing. I mean, how we could secure it, we probably can't discuss that on YouTube without them, if we're talking about acquiring stuff. But we will adapt that question to, do we have a plan in place for that? Do you have a transport plan in place? I know you said last resort, Andy, was to leave, but is the vehicle prepped, or do you have a specialist vehicle aside for that?
I've got a hybrid mountain bike, mate. That will be my way.
Yeah.
Purely because then it's under my own esteem. I don't have to worry about parts. Don't have to worry about fuel. I can service it myself. I've got a lot of things that could keep it going. Spare chain, inner tubes. So for me, mate, if I had to leave, that's what it will be with the trailer. The vehicles, mate, it would be too cumbersome to try and get through motorways and that type of thing. The noise that it makes, like I say, fuel servicing, etc. It's just too much of a bollocking, mate, for me. So I don't prep for that, mate. I'm purely under my own esteem. If I had to leave it, it would be on my bike. Wouldn't be in a vehicle.
Barry, do you have a dedicated way to transport yourself in this kind of situation?
I've got access to 2 vehicles, one large, one small. The smaller ones, obviously, better for getting in and out of sticky situations on the road, etc. The larger one, that's more for if we have to sort of go off road. Everything's actually just been serviced, never less than half a tank of fuel in both motors, and spare fuel, etc., ready to go should the worst come to the absolute worst. But the A1 plan is to stay put.
Brian, I've come to you last because you're sat in it, and I've seen it, and it is quite well prepared and well put together and stuff like that. So, is that genuinely, would that turn into a bug out vehicle over a leisure vehicle?
I think it would do the job well enough. It's got redundant charging systems. It's got solar, batteries, toilets, water storage, beds, lighting, heating. So yeah, it would do the job. I would probably take one of the cars and follow behind it just so we could carry even more shit, and also purely for redundancy in case one of the vehicles went down. Yeah. Maintenance wise, other than basic servicing, I mean, I was a forklift engineer for nearly 20 years. I worked on gas, diesel, electric trucks. I'm still up to speed with most things, but the reality is, if a modern vehicle breaks down, the chances of you doing much with it ain't that high. If you want a true bug out vehicle, get an old Land Rover or something like that you can actually fix on the fly, because a modern one, there's just too much shit to break.
What about the availability of fuel?
I keep a lot of fuel spare that I rotate into the car.
Stopped his numbers right there.
I keep because I got
5 litres.
Yes, I keep the maximum permissible allowed amount of fuel only, and I rotate it into the cars. The van's always full anyway. Availability of fuel you can't predict. Assume you can't get any and go from there.
Well, the sun's always out in Lancashire, and I've got an EV, so I've always got fuel. I can solar charge the car. It might take 7.5 weeks to go 10 miles, but I can still solar charge it. Thank you for the question. Really appreciate that. Let's quickly check the comments. Are you guys still okay for time? All yeah?
Yeah, fine, mate.
Yeah. Okay.
All good.
Everyone's got their pea glass in front of them just in case, yeah.
I've only had 3 cans since we started the chat, so I'm all good.
I've emptied it and soon fill it up again.
It's don't pee in the merch. It's a good slogan.
That's some review.
Holds 1 litre.
I got an Urban Prepper cup. It was so good I pissed in it. You just don't see adverts like that in Google, do you?
No, that's it. It's not what it used to be. It's not what it used to be. Elusive Dartmoor Survival. Have any of you considered PMR ham CB as part of comms? I have done a video on mine, and I can get quite far on my antennas.
Excuse me.
Brian just exploded.
Like some mess if I exploded.
Andy, comms. Are you into ham radio, CB, anything like that?
Nah, nothing, mate.
No.
Absolutely. A quick one for me, mate. I've got nothing in my preps, mate, at all.
Do you feel that because you don't need it?
Yeah, pretty much, mate. Yeah, and I don't have anybody to communicate with. So it's pretty much non-starter, mate, for me. Like I said, it's just no. I just don't see the point, mate, prep for it. Me personally,
Nobody loves me anymore.
If you'd like to join Andy's friends club, please write to him.
Yeah, I carry a pigeon. You need to carry a pigeon, though. Carry a pigeon only.
You
No
ate
ham
spotted Jim.
radios.
Oh,
So yeah,
other Blackadder
no, mate, I
reference.
haven't got anything, mate, in terms of comms.
Cool. Brian, comms, where you at?
I've got radios. I've got one Mesh-tastic at the moment. My brother that also preps, he's got similar radios. Yeah, we're all good to go.
Plan in place for that?
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Barry, comms, are you in Andy's Lonely Hearts Club, or do you have friends?
Surprisingly, I do have friends.
You do.
No, our Discord group obviously has its own Mesh-tastic setup, and obviously with payday looming, that's one of the purchases on my list is to get one of those. I've joined the local Mesh group on one of the social media platforms, and I've actually spoken via that to somebody else, and it turns out we actually went to school together 40 years ago, and I hadn't spoke to him since then, and it's literally turned out he's a few miles down the road. So yeah, comms is definitely something that's on the list, and yeah,
you've just added to your mag, or somebody you've got to feed after it happens.
Yeah.
My situation is very similar to Brian's. I've got radios. I've got people who need to have the radios. I have 4 Mesh-tastic nodes, purely because there's one mounted to the car with the car aerial for mobile. There is one for Mrs. Urban Prepper. There's one for me, and there's one in a Faraday. So that is my Mesh-tastic nodes there. Some are better quality than others. I recommend the UK Prepper Network one. That's the best one I have. But yeah, thank you for the question. Elusive Dartmoor Survival. Kelly again, he's back. Do you have a set destination for SHTF situation, or is it just a case of hit the road? And he went first last time. Brian.
My set destination would be stay put, first and foremost.
Obviously, yeah.
If I had to bug out, I've got a few alternative places I would consider, and I've scouted out a couple.
Cool. Barry?
Yeah, same as Brian. I'm primarily staying put, but I have got 2 or 3 locations at various distances far out that I can head to if it all goes absolutely belly up.
Right now, plan number 1 for me is bugging out, unfortunately, and I'd never recommend that to anyone. Bug in as much as you can, because of my location, because of where I am, because of immediate surroundings. I find a better chance going somewhere else. I have 3 options and several options en route, depending on how I'm getting there, whether it's by dog and pony or whether it's by car. So yeah, it's but hopefully that changes with a move eventually. So keep them super chats up and I can get a house. But YouTube can get a bigger house though, because they take the bigger cuts. Andy,
yes,
bugging
mate,
out.
so,
I know bugging in is obviously number 1. You just said.
I've got 3 options, mate. I've got one at 2, one at 4, one at 6 mile. And like Brian said, mate, there's a reason behind. being at 2, 4, and 6.
Mhm.
But they're a diet option. Like that's do or die. If I'm
That's last resort job.
Them, yeah.
Cool. There you go. Thank you for the question, Kelly. I would recommend anyone, even if bugging in is your primary plan, have something in place. Do the research. Know your local area. If you had to be forced evacuation, it might not be a true SHTF or Teotihuacan situation, but you could have some sort of forced evacuation. Look at the tragic fires in LA and stuff like that. Make sure you have a plan in place, even if it's something you never want to enact. There we go. We're getting through them. Not many left. We're getting there. I'll come to
be fair, mate,
shortly.
I've just seen in the comments there. Dartmoor Survival just said I mainly use those comms to listen what is going on around me. So maybe I should do it for that.
Yeah, information's key. Definitely.
So that's a good comment, mate. Maybe I should jump on it.
Yeah. Get a ham radio just to scan and just to listen and stuff like that. Yeah. It's always a good thing, and it's free to listen. You don't need the license, so you can practice listening.
That would take a sinister turn. What are you wearing, Mike? It's Andy. Is it DPM?
You see, that's less sinister than the fact that Brian would be listening in. That feels like the sinister part of that whole situation.
Mate, I'd be rubbing one out. Don't be under any illusions.
Don't forget to subscribe to Scottish Prepper 73.
I don't know why I've not got many subs. I'm quite surprised, actually.
I think you're trying to appeal to the wrong market. I could definitely point you in the direction where you could get a lot more subs, but you might have to. Yeah, anyway.
Is this my OnlyFans account again, is it?
Yeah, potentially. Deadbois 1376 says, how many have the knowledge and skills to grow their own food or forage and then able to preserve it so it's shelf stable, such as dehydration, water bathing, pressure canning, etc.? I said keep them short. Sorry, it cuts it off itself. I don't know who went first last time. Brian.
What?
Jesus Christ. Barry, you're paying attention. Would you like to go first on this one?
Yeah, I already grow some of my own stuff. Foraging's a skill yet to be learned. Preserving, again, yeah, working on it. Dehydration, got a dehydrator. Water bathing, I believe we've got a certain young lady on the channels who's doing courses on that, so that may be something to do later on down the line.
Blue.
Oh, Blue
self-sufficiency. If Miss Worm's got it, she'll post the link in there. She's hopefully we have planned with me and Blue to do a live session where I will be doing water bathing for the first time. No, that's not me in a bath. Don't worry. It's food preservation, and we'll do it live. And I'll be doing it for the first time. So, like many of you guys, and I'll be getting instructions from Blue, and she'll be on the live as well. So that should be cool. But yeah,
have you got house insurance?
I've got plenty of extinguishers. You've seen them. I'm gonna have my PPE goggles on. It's fine. Andy. Same question. How many do you have knowledges of skills, growing food, foraging, etc.?
So we turn part of the garden into like a bit of an allotment. So we do grow food in our back garden. So we've got carrots, red onions, rhubarb, brambles, gooseberries, all that type of stuff. I've got one of those books, mate. You know, those little forage books.
A food for free.
Yeah, that's the one that I can use in a pinch. The other stuff, mate, I've never ever tried and I've never ever done. But I saw Blue's post the other day. Was it in Discord? On about that course she was doing, and I believe it's in York.
Yes,
is that right? Yeah. So York, mate, is only an hour and a half away from me. So if I was going to do, mate, I would just jump on one of her courses and go down there and get someone to teach me.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah. A bit less nerve-wracking as well if it's somebody that knows what they're doing, that you're not going to blow up your kitchen, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't have a clue, mate, where to begin on any of those other three.
Brian, these skills kind of lend into the whole scenario thing where it had been a long time since SHTF. So which of these do you have any, if any? And we know you can kill a plastic plant.
I can. I'm gifted. I've got Mylar bags to store stuff. I've got vacuum sealers. I've got a dehydrator that I've never used yet.
Coming soon on the channel.
It's on the list. And pressure cannon I know nothing about. I'm a bit wary because of the botulism side of it, so I don't know enough about it not to kill myself. I would love a freeze dryer, and my wife's in the chat, so if she wants to let me spend $4,000 on a freeze dryer, that would be fantastic.
Funnily enough, somehow Barry just gave her exact response to that. He just laughed. Barry, skill sets when it comes to foraging and preserving food and things like
that. Foraging, I know nothing about. I've got the book that's already been mentioned. I've yet to read it. Like I say, I've got a dehydrator, which I've had for a couple of years, used with some success. Still learning with it. Simple as that. It's a skill that's got to be learned. Dehydration. Okay, water bathing and pressure canning. That's above my skill set at the moment, but
yeah. For me, I'm stepping into the water bathing. Like I said, I'm going to do that video and stuff like that. It's something that I think is not that difficult. Pressure canning is a bit more nerve-wracking for me, but the water bathing is it's just about timing and things like that. And it depends what you're preserving based on the time. So, I mean, and this has been done since the dawn of, the kind of food preservation was started. So it's always been done in the same sort of way. So it's been perfected. So I'm less worried about poisoning myself than Brian is. And the foraging is something I've started doing more. And it's one of the skill sets I'm learning at the moment. I thought I was pretty good, already. I can pick out obvious stuff, but there's lots more that I didn't know, which I'm starting to learn. I've got the same book as Andy, Food for Free. It's a great one. While it's peace times, we have the internet, we have Google, we have image searching abilities and stuff like that. So go and do it now while you can. It would be my advice. And there's core rules of it. I saw a video the other day, Lofty Wiseman, very intelligent man who did the SAS survival guide and was one of their chief instructors. He'll tell you the very basics when it comes to mushrooms and stuff like that on that video. So that's worth checking out. But yeah, thank you for the question. Only 4 to go, guys. Don't worry, you can go soon. Philip says in SHTF we will have fight, flight, or freeze moments that partly determine survival chances. How do you recommend we improve our abilities to react appropriately when it matters? We skipped Brian because he wasn't paying attention last time, so we'll go straight to Andy. How do we practice fight or flight, basically? I know there's the freeze as well, but how do we train ourselves for that?
I think it's hard. It's hard to do, mate, unless you've been in those situations and you know how you're going to react to them. Although I have watched quite a few things. I don't know how true this is, by the way, disclaimer. I have watched quite a few things of tier 1 operators, like special force operators, and they said the way that they're trained as if it's real, and in their opinion, your brain doesn't know the difference. So whether it's real or whether they're trained, it's the same thing. I don't know whether any of us could do it to that level and get to the point where we'll go on to practice that. But I think if you wanted to test your skills, I would probably be if I want to do that, I would go for a wild camp, and I would get somebody to bug me out randomly at a random time, whether it be your brother, your partner, coming to bug you out and see how you would react. How long does it take me to pack my kit away? How long does it take for me to do this? What would I do? Am I going to run into a tree and knock myself out? Because the first time it happens to you, you are all over the shop and you don't know which way is up. And that happens to everyone. Happened to me the first time I got bugged out.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say practice and go through the scenarios and try and put an element of real world in there.
Yeah.
You know, whether that would be someone tries to break into your house, what do we put in place? You know, if that's the only thing I can really recommend, mate, for that. You know, without being in the real situation, where something, you never got to know how you really are going to react.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, mate, I think that is one of the main things that I feel comfortable with, because I've been in quite a few dicey situations.
Yeah.
So I know how I would react. But in terms of even me now, mate, you know, like those T1 operators said, if you tell your brain it's real, would it know the difference? And that's the only real way, I think, mate, you're going to be able to
discipline in
train
training.
for it, I suppose.
Yeah. Brian, can you how do we improve our ability to react appropriately when it matters?
Exposure, pretty much echoing what Andy said.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows, everybody thinks they know what they'll do in a situation, but you really don't. Nobody does, because we're not psychic. You think you know what you'll do, but we really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a difficult one, this, because I always say to people, or my suggestion would be always bugging out's a last resort. So I would practice more things that are home related first before I practice last ditch efforts. So practice how you would maybe barricade your home, practice how you'd make repairs to your solar install, how you would package food, things that you might do if you were bugging in, right? Rather than going sleeping in a forest overnight and creepy crawlies running up your arsehole, because that's the last thing you're going to do. When you've explored the other options, go and do that, because camping is actually a lot of fun. Because when you're the first night under the stars, that creak in a branch isn't just a rabbit, it's a chainsaw wielding murderer that's coming to get you, because that's how your mind was wired, right? And it takes time to get over that.
Yeah. Barry, anything to add on this one?
No, I think both the guys are absolutely spot on with that, particularly that last comment that Brian made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I recently did a quick test out of some kit I was going to use for the meet later on in this year. And I was woke in the middle of the night by a hell of a noise. And like Brian said, it could have been a chainsaw welding maniac. It turned out it was one of the local foxes trying to break in through the fence I'd repaired the earlier day. But you know, it's good practice, because you suddenly, it tells you how quick you're going to react to a sudden noise out of the blue. And it does get the heart pumping. And you know, put yourself in those kind of scenarios where, you know, you've got to test yourself. Because you're gonna, but at the end of the day, you can test yourself as much as you want. How you react in world life situation could be completely different.
I can't add much more to this one. Everyone's right. Scenarios, practice, discipline in training. It's all really good points. Get out there, do it. And hopefully I'm going to do a lot more this year and rope some of these lads into it as well. But the only other thing I would echo on this is, because that's kind of a controlled environment. It's kind of your brain in charge. I would say, look at what your fears are now. You got a fear of heights, for example. Go up the Eiffel Tower, or if you're on a budget, the Blackpool Tower. Go and do something that you know you don't want to do that causes fear, because that's going to give you that similar sort of reaction. It's only when things are out of your control where that fight or flight system is going to kick in. All right. So if you put yourself in that fearful situation, whether it's heights, whether it's spiders, whatever it is, then you're going to have a better idea of how you can react to it and how you can push past it and how you can talk yourself down. That's the only thing I would add.
I will not be exposing myself to spiders, mate, because the reaction will still be the same. It'll be burn it with fire.
If you exposed yourself to anyone, they would say burn it with fire, Brian. It's
No, they'll say it's that. Where's the rest?
What's the funniest prepping fail? Says Ems87, and I just do want to mention.
I know what Mike's is. Not charging his power.
Oh, your mic's gone off. What a shame. Your mic's just gone off. I can't hear you properly there. Never mind. Evil Girl said the same thing. There we go. But yeah, what's your funniest prepping fail? It's not charging power banks before you go there. Brian, you're paying attention for this one, so you can go first.
My funniest prepping fail.
Fish tank shed.
That was a design flaw. That wasn't a prepping fail. That was a design flaw. I don't know, mate. That's an answer I'm stuck on, to be honest. Genuinely, I don't know. Funniest prepping fail. Nah,
Barry, have you got one ready? No, none of these guys fail.
Still thinking.
Still think. Andy? Have you dropped your mic, mate? We're not picking you up.
Oh, it's on you.
It's on your
jacket. Now. There we go. That's my biggest prepping fail. There you go. Biggest prepping fail live on the stream.
We had it live.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Probably, mate. The biggest prepping fail I've had is last time I went camping. I took a 10 minute. I made the mistake of not checking it before I took it. And when we went out there, there was holes all over it, and it was like a patchwork quilt with all the duct tape I had stuck all over it. Luckily, I had the tarp with me, and where the majority was, I threw the tarp over the top, and that worked. And then the next day, I just dragged it across the field and threw one of those big biffa bins. And just went home without it. But that's probably the biggest prepping fail, I would say, maybe.
There you go. Brian, have we got anything yet?
No. I can't think it went wrong. Disaster. Oh, the Faraday, that fucking Faraday cage. Yeah, that's the one. That bollocks. If you're ever having an outtakes video of prepping videos, I should have done that one. I would have got the most subscribers ever. It was just horrible. Nothing worked. I tested it, and I've watched all these videos of people making a bin in a Faraday cage, and I came to the conclusion that they were full of shit. There's no way it could have worked. I proved it would never work, and I spent hours making it work. So then I'm watching the videos again, going, "Nah, they're lying. that didn't work."
Do your own research is the lesson from that.
It literally looked like I'd murdered the Tin Man and stuck a radio up his arse. It was that much metal on
it. Barry, have you got us a fail yet?
I've mistaken a can of shaving foam for a can of fuel and put that to the camping stove you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I packed the same tins next to each other in my bag, pulled out the wrong one without even looking, connected it up, and I just got foam coming out the top of me bloody cooker. I wish I'd have filmed it. It was when you look at something and think, Prat. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they heat the water though?
No. No. And of course, yeah, it was there was just a mess. It was like I can't even describe it. Just let your imagination.
I can't help but feel my sarcasm was lost there.
I'll do mine. Mine's very similar to Andy's. When I did my hike, the kids had used this tent. It was just a little 2-man thing, just a little cheap thing because it was really light, so I thought it'd be easy to carry. And there was no fly sheet at the top, so it was completely open. Luckily, I improvised a poncho over the top to get through the night, sort of thing. But my biggest, the fail of that is not just the tent; it's testing your gear in general. I hadn't slept on that mat before; it wasn't comfortable at all. I just got it off reviews, so testing your kit. So that was my fail. The first night was rather uncomfortable, but improvise, adapt, overcome, and we get through. That's the way to do it.
That's,
Thank you
that's
for the...
now my fail is now why I've got a beard, because like shaving foam, I ain't going to make that mistake again.
He's just stopped buying it. He's just stopped buying it. Or he thinks he stopped buying it. He might have loads of shaving foam and no gas.
Straight razor and strop now.
What's your primary concern that may require you to bug in or out? Energy, war, riots, pandemic. This is a good question for all of us. Let's just go around the round table quickly and say the main reason we could see to prep, as if we were speaking to new preppers at the moment. So, Andy, reasons to prep.
Energy, mate, power grid.
Yeah.
Number one for me. That thing's going, and it's only a matter of time. I always go to Brian on this one. He's my go-to guy because he knows a lot more than me. But 100% mate, the power grid for me and energy in general is where the main problems are going to lie for people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Brian, we can't have the same answer twice. Give me a different one.
No.
Give us another reason after the power grid.
Okay. Riots caused by the power grid going down.
Well played, sir. Well played.
A touche. Barry, what's your main reason for prepping, or main reason people should be prepping right now?
Currently, I go energy, then the riots caused by the energy, and then the pandemic after that caused by the lack of people looking after themselves.
There we go. So energy, riots, hygiene, right?
In that order.
There we go. There
the
we
great
go.
unwashed.
I mean, until next year, I might change my mind, but we are still not hit solar maximum for me. And I think that's a massive risk. And yes, that does relate to the power grid, but I'm talking about the cause, not just, buy another power bank. Brian with his shares in Anchor. Last question in the pre-asked ones, and then we'll go back to the comments. If you've got anything last minute, stick it in now because everyone wants to get home. Everyone is home, but you know what I mean. What conditions would it take to force you to bug out, and how bad would it have to get? Good one for you to start with again, Andy, because you just mentioned that you weren't leaving unless it was last resort. What's the conditions of that?
Yeah, it would have to be something like, an extreme weather event, whether that be, wildfire or flood, my house burned down. It would have to be something where I physically couldn't stay in the house anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it would take, mate, really, for force me to bug out.
Yeah. Brian, same question.
It's pretty much the same answer as well, mate. The house would have to be untenable. The cause could be a myriad of things. Christ, sanitation would probably be the worst one. Assuming somebody hadn't set it on fire, but if everything hadn't been taken care and the grid went down and the drains backed up, you could have something like that forces you to leave if you couldn't salvage the situation. But yeah, it would have to be a catastrophic event that made the house untenable.
Yeah. Barry, similar situation, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, the house would have to be literally on fire before I went out through the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to agree with you, but my plans have recently changed to the point I think it's the area I'm in. I wouldn't like to even try and hold out. So it's all based on local populace and local area for me. And it's not going to take much of that breakdown for me to be getting out. And I'll probably be out before any of my family realizes. And the magical people who think they know where I am and are going to come and take my preps, I'm not going to be here. So good luck.
Under the mat.
Good luck. I'll leave you one tin of beans and a big FU. There we go. We have done all the questions, the pre-asked ones. Thank you, gents. Really do appreciate that. Quickly scroll down through these last 20 odd comments I've got behind here. I work with spiders daily, says Dan Heppelwhite. There you go.
No. I work with assholes daily. It doesn't mean I'd want to mix with them.
Can we have a different Discord link? Apparently, I will sort that out after this, Miss Worm. Anyone trying to join the Discord, if it's the link, they're a nightmare. They want money for it so it doesn't expire, but they can bite me. So I will sort that out after this. Anxiety is programming your brain based on. I thought it was programming your Brian first. That's why I hesitate. Based on predictions, try tell yourself to reduce it if you can. But I mean, I think prepping is a form of reducing anxiety, and it's a form of something we can control, right? Just do. Do you have a favorite place in the UK where you've camped? That's a nice quick one. For me, probably is Loch Lomond in Scotland. I found an area that wasn't heavily populated by drunkards, and it was very quiet and blissful. Andy?
Yes, mate. There's a place in Lake District called Dove Crag, and just down from that, but back hundreds of years ago, they've actually carved a cave into the side of the mountain, and people will go up there and stay. It's unbelievable views, and people take stuff up there. So people leave logs up there for a fire. There's a book there, an unofficial one that people write in who stayed.
That's cool.
And that's probably and it's one, I think, mate, as well. It's one of the only official wild camping places in the Lake District that you're officially allowed to do. So that's the best place.
That's awesome. Brian?
Arasig.
Say again.
Arasig. So the kind of not just up past Fort William and just before you get to Mallaig, there's silica sand beaches. They're all golden sand, crystal clear blue water. There's 3 really good campsites there, and you can have open fires on the beach. It's fantastic.
Nice. Barry?
For me, I've got to say Wales. Absolutely love the place. I've travelled all over it, stayed in different places. Particularly the Dewless Valley. I think I've said that right. The Dewless Valley. That's really nice. You know, you can go there whatever time of the year, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Usually raining if it's Wales, but still nice nonetheless. Thank you for that one. I think we're coming to the end. I know other people are putting questions in. Steph, a lot of these will be answered on future Fireside episodes, so stay tuned for them. Okay, this is going to be the last question. Sorry for anyone that's put anything afterwards, because I do have to let everyone go, but it's a good one, so we're going to end on it. Don C, if you could pick anyone to work out with, dead or alive, who would it be? I've already mentioned him. I'm going to go first. Lofty Wiseman, because he's got everything covered. It's all sorted. It's not a problem. I'm going to have my feet up. It's all done. What a legend that guy is. He's still alive. But yeah, Lofty Wiseman, I would have taken him, definitely. Andy?
I'm going to go for, nobody will know who it is. I've got to go for a guy called Mike Sadler, and he was part of the Long Range Desert Group in World War II. And those boys, mate, could find a postage stamp in the middle of the African desert. They were the boys. And he ended up also becoming one of the original SES members. So he picked them up off a failed jump, and they were that impressed with him, they made him a member.
Nice.
So I would go for Mike Sadler.
Do I know that name from the series that they've just done?
I don't know, mate. I haven't watched it.
The Rogue Heroes. I think so, yeah. You need to watch
I would imagine he's in it, mate. I haven't watched it, mate, but I would imagine he's in it, yeah.
You really need to watch that. It's done very well. Right.
Well, I'm in an awkward position here, because given the person that posted the question is the wife. So, now,
it's clearly going to be you, Mrs. Scottish Prepper.
The safe option would be, right, the non-sleeping on the couch option.
I thought you were going to say the guy who made Pepsi Bry.
Right, hang on, let's make this easier. You've already got all your family with you. It's an extra person that you can pick.
Oh, right, Linda Lasardi.
For reasons of?
She's got awesome boobs, mate.
Really helpful in a bug out situation.
Everybody needs a comfort blanket.
Always good for a practical answer. Barry, give us a real
I'm probably
answer,
sleeping
please.
on the couch now.
You may as well stay in the van, Brian. You may as well stay in the van.
Oh dear. That's a really good question. Tough one to me
It's really
to answer.
not. It's really not.
Too many people to choose from. No, I can't give a single answer for that. I mean, if I'm going to go down the route of daft options, I'll go with MacGyver.
It was scripted, Barry. You know this. Right? He didn't really take out the Apache helicopter with a paperclip. It didn't.
You're lying. Of course he did.
Yeah.
It was real.
Honestly,
Yes.
that was my first choice. My second choice would be my own granddad, who had probably as much experience as Lofty. So, just for the fact of having him there would be awesome. Ray Mears, somebody has said in there. Let's check people's answers before we say goodbye. Where's
The a good shout.
I think Evil Girl's thinking the same sort of wavelength as Brian, not thinking practical, thinking of,
That's not true. Linda Lasardi's got much better boobs than Henry Cavill. We are not thinking the same way at all.
I meant superficially. Yeah. So loads of great answers in there, guys. We are going to have to end it. Sorry about that. There was loads of great questions. Next time we do one of these, make sure you keep an eye on the post section of my channel, because I put it in there a week before, and you can get your questions in beforehand and they will get answered. The chat is just a bonus. Crocodile Dundee, says Christopher Arnold. That's not a knife. That's a knife. I love it. Andy, any final thoughts and goodbyes for the peoples?
Yeah, great laugh shooting night, mate. Thanks for having me back after my hiatus. And thank you for everyone who subbed tonight. I appreciate it, guys. And those videos will be out on Sunday for you to watch.
There you go. Made a promise now. You've heard it here. I'll clip it for you. Brian, any final thoughts and goodbyes for the peoples?
Just thanks for coming out. It's been good numbers again tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Cool. Barry?
Yeah, thanks to everybody that's joined us in the chat and put up with the utter rubbish that we've been spouting all night. And thanks for you guys again for having me on again.
Excellent. And for me, if you do nothing else for this, make sure you go and check out all three of these guys' channels. Subscribe, watch some content, show them some love, because they give up their time for this, as well as Miss Worm and all the other moderators who give up their time. Thank you. None of this is possible without all of them. So make sure you do that for me, and that would be really appreciated. And that's all I ask. Till then, thank you for all your support, and we'll see you in another one soon. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Round the fire, warm and bright, stocked up food for the night. Got our plans set in gold for the days when it's cold. Tools and gear stacked up high in the cabin we reside, listening to the winds howl, prepping for the morning's prowl. At the Prepper's fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid, preppers live unafraid. At the Prepper's fireside we stay.